I promised the staff that I would not make fun of the video again this year. I am not going to discuss anything about everyone wandering around D.C. aimlessly and pointing poetically at every monument they see. That is something I won't do. But I am a little flustered right now. I don't know if you heard my walk-up song, Tiny Dancer. I don't know what to make of the fact that APP's executive director, Terry Schilling, chose Tiny Dancer as the walk-up song. Okay, short people I get. Tiny Dancer? No. Anyway, when Professor Robbie George, Luis Tellez, and I founded the American Principles Project in 2009, the central idea was to put human dignity at the heart of public policy and politics. Perhaps the best description of what that means comes from the first canon of Russell Kirk's 6 Canons of Conservatism. In brief, the first canon talks about a belief in a transcendent order or body of natural law which rules society as well as conscience. True politics is the art of apprehending and applying the justice that comes from that, the justice which ought to prevail in a community of souls. I thought about this definition as it applies to tonight's keynote speaker. Sarah Sanders does battle every day with an elite media that not only rejects this principle outright, I should say overwhelmingly, they've allowed some conservatives back into the White House newsroom. But they overwhelmingly reject this principle outright. But this media elite also sees it as their duty to discredit it to the American people. Sarah does her job with enormous intelligence, charm, patience, and a firmness that often leaves her antagonists sputtering for words. This is why she's become a hero to me. I hope she doesn't hear that. To dozens of you in the audience tonight and to millions across America. I had the pleasure of working with Sarah when she was, for a time, consultant to the American Principles Super PAC. I came to admire her deep faith, her love for family, her husband Brian and their 3 children, and the integrity she brought to all aspects of the project. Truly, her entire career, beginning with her work for her father, has been a fight to apply the principle of human dignity to the political arena. As it is the week after Thanksgiving, I would like to just add that contrary to published reports, #fake news, I have it on good authority that she also makes a hell of a chocolate pecan pie. Tonight, APT Executive Director Terry Schilling will conduct a conversation with Sarah. We first thought that what we would do is have Sarah get the chance to interrogate him, because I think it's only fair that she gets to be hostile to somebody else. But you know, this has been Terry's lifelong dream when other people wanted to be sports personalities. Terry wanted to be a White House correspondent and so he's going to get 20 minutes doing an audition. Eat your heart out, CNN. Ladies and gentlemen, APP Executive Director Terry Schilling and the White House Press Secretary, Sarah Sanders.
Thank you all.
That's a much better welcome that I usually get in the press briefing. Not by a lot, but just by a small margin that beats what a normal day looks like.
And Frank saying that I wanted to be a White House correspondent, that's a low blow, my friend. I will be getting you back. All right, let's get into this. Sarah, you've got arguably one of the toughest, most demanding, high-pressure jobs in the entire country.
Being a parent is very difficult, I agree.
Yeah, no, that's right. It is. What's your day like? What do you do every day, and how tough is it?
Every day is different. That's one of the things I love about the job. No 2 days are alike. You never have time to be bored. But often people tell me I have the toughest job. I also think I have one of the most rewarding jobs in America. I get to stand up in front of the press and speak on behalf of the president, on behalf of the country, and talk about things that I think are very important and things that have the ability to really impact generations to come and really see history in real life. And it's one of the most incredible opportunities and privileges that I think anybody could ever have. I've often said, thank you, there's one person out there. I've often said if I ever walk into the White House and don't have a sense of reverence and a little bit taken back that I'm there and I get to be part of that every day, then I've been here too long and it's time to go home. Thankfully, that hasn't happened yet, so I'm still here and loving every minute of it.
What's your favorite part about what you do?
Obviously, hanging out with the press, right? I think kind of going back, one of my favorite parts is getting to be part of history and really feeling like we're coming to work every day despite what sometimes may be reported. We are really working hard to try to change things, make things better. As I have talked about many times before and joked about a few minutes ago, I have 3 kids, 5, 4, and 2.5, and so they're fun. Very calm and put together group. If you ever see us in public, please don't judge us based on those moments entirely. But knowing that whatever I'm doing has an impact on my kids is something that is just a very incredible and powerful feeling and a very rewarding feeling. I think at the same time, I have a daughter, and getting to be the first mother and only the 3rd woman to have this job, I think is such an incredible thing for her to get to see that she can grow up and do anything she wants to do.
This is the obvious follow-up. What do you dislike most?
Well, it kind of goes in the same vein. I think a lot of people would expect me to say the back and forth with the press, but as much as we talk about sometimes the struggle with that, I do think it's a very important part of the process. It's a very important part of our government. We just got back from a historic trip for Asia. It's one of the things that makes the United States different and unique. I don't always love every minute of it, but some people would probably expect that to be the part I would say I dislike the most. But for me, the hardest part is being away from my family. It's the thing I cherish the most. And so not getting to be there every single day, be part of some of the really big moments is very difficult. So I have to make the ones that I have really count, and I try to do that as much as possible.
Yeah, I can imagine it's tough. You work for one of the...
He has kind of a smirk like he's getting to the hard
stuff. No. I smirk when I think about...
I think Frank might have been onto something. I think he's really been priming up to do this for a long time.
Just not for CNN. You work for, obviously, one of the most interesting presidents we've ever had. I mean, he's so unique. And I think that the crowd would love to hear your favorite story about the president.
There's so many good ones that I can tell in public with lots of cameras around. This one sort of indirectly involves the president, and I hate to harp on this, the parenting component, but they had a thing where you could bring your kids to work day. And I, was debating. I knew I couldn't handle bringing all 3 kids to work on the same day. So I decided to bring Huck, who's 4, and Scarlett had been with me to a previous event. George is too young, so I was like, it's Huck's big day. He's the classic middle child. He's a little bit of a wild card. I named him Huck. What did I expect? So I decided we're going to do this. It's going to be a great day. Like, we're going to have a lot of fun. So I take Huck with me, and the first hour of the day that we're there, it was very apparent to me that Huck was going to take the White House by storm. And within the first hour, Sean Spicer was the press secretary at the time, and he did a mini briefing. We had invited all of the press to bring their kids as well, and all of the staff. And so you've got a mix of press and staff kids in the briefing room asking questions. It's a lot of fun. My son decided not to participate in any of the Q&A, but to kind of do his own thing and laid down on the stage of the briefing room and proceeded to do, carpet angels and roll around, and was quite the distraction. So after that, I decided that it might be nice to let him do, they were doing like bowling at the White House, so he was doing that, and I was going to do a little bit of work in between that time. And part of that was briefing the president, who was going to go out and greet all of the kids in the Rose Garden and take pictures with the kids. So I'd gone into the Oval Office, and I was walking the president through what this process was going to look like. You'll go out on the colonnade, all the kids will come out, you'll shake hands, you'll say hello, we'll take pictures, you go back in. As I'm explaining this, I see the bushes in the Rose Garden like violently shaking. And I was like, that seems strange. And I see all the other children like quietly and calmly just perfectly dressed, standing out in the Rose Garden, and the bushes continue to shake. And about that time, I see this little blonde head pop up, and I was like, looks really familiar. I know the top of that head, and I was like, dear God, please don't let that be Huck. And in one fell swoop, somehow he managed to jump through those bushes and have his face pressed directly against the Oval Office window. And the president kind of gives a look like, this isn't something that's normal. There's a little boy's face in the window. I was like, yes, sir, that's my son. So it was probably one of the more professional moments in my career, too. And the president was a great sport, took him in, we got pictures and everything. But that was definitely probably one of the more unique experiences. And, a couple weeks later, Huck also helped contribute to helping me have the best tweet I've ever had when he borrowed my phone and tweeted out a series of emojis that put the press corps into a tailspin, trying to figure out what I was saying. And, there could have been a lot of things that could have gone wrong. There could have been several other emojis. Thankfully, he stuck with most 4-year-old boys' bridges, stoplights, and it happened to be Infrastructure Week, so I think he's on message and ready to take over my job.